You're getting a taste of everything that I love about the EntreMD Business School, getting to hear stories, both struggle and success, right? It's honest. No one's messing around here. They're going to tell you what happens, and they're also going to share their wins. And both of those can be hard in medicine. We often try to keep it safe, keep it secret, like we said. And here, everything is welcome. And I'm going to share you why that's been so important to me during this time. What I've also loved about the business school is that for me, growing up, business was bad. Business was for money grabbers and people could be manipulative. And what I'm learning here is business can totally be for good. And that capital can be for change, and change can be for good. And Dr. Una lives and leads that by example every day. And I'm so grateful for that message. I'm Dr. Amelia Bueche. I'm a neuromusculoskeletal medicine specialist, and I'm the founder of This Osteopathic Life for the health of all things, with a mission to expand the osteopathic concept to serve as guiding principles for a revolution grounded in love and compassion. That's a mission I've had for as long as I've been in osteopathic medicine, and I'm finding ways to bring that to fruition. I know I wanted to be a doctor from the earliest memories I have, but I also wanted to be a whole lot of things. On my website, it says, I'm a physician, a parent, a musician, a writer, an athlete, a coach, and an entrepreneur. And that's not the whole list, but it's 7. It seemed like a nice number to put on the website. And as I moved through medicine, I kept getting this message that if I was going to be a doctor, you're just supposed to be a doctor. And that didn't fit with me. I was never meant to be just one thing. And so I moved through different types of medicine. I was in a massive healthcare system. I moved up the ranks. I was a program director and a medical director. Still didn't feel quite right. I went to solo private practice, figuring if I could call all the shots, right, it would feel better. I would fit. The model would match with me. Not so much. Then I went to a group practice. And I love what I do. Osteopathic manipulative treatment, getting to be hands-on with patients, engage with their anatomy, help them to see their health and feel better is fantastic. But the premise is that I'm identifying dysfunction in patients. They're coming to me to find out what's wrong with them. And that did not match the way I understood medicine or osteopathic medicine. It was supposed to be about the health. More problematic is they came to me thinking I was going to fix them. That's what they would say. I'm here with my back pain. I'm so glad I'm here, doc, because you're going to fix me. And I was very uncomfortable with that. And I used hands-on treatments, right? We could move things around and they could feel better. And their physiology actually could work better. But I kept thinking, no, you're the one who's fixing you. And by the way, nothing's even broken, right? You have everything you need to be successful, to be in touch with your health. And they almost didn't believe me, right? The hands-on treatment almost got in the way. And I remember walking home in February this past year thinking, I don't think I can keep doing this, right? It just didn't feel right. And then March 16th arrived. And many of you know that was a date across our country that many of our practices closed, as mine did with a PPE preservation order. And actually, easiest decision I ever made to put that sign up and say, we're no longer meeting in person here. And you can imagine, if you saw me and I did hands-on treatment for 30 minutes whenever we visited, telemedicine could be a far leap. But some of my patients did continue. And actually, I finally got to speak to them in the way that felt true to me, because I took away that hands-on care. And I'm not diminishing what I do or what my colleagues do in that way, but I got to say to them, look at the answers you have. Look at how amazing you already are. And I realized that's what I'd always been doing and wanted to be doing, but it didn't quite fit in the model that I had before. 1 week after the clinic closed, I started coach training, and I'd enrolled months before, and it just happened to coincide with that date. And on the first day of coach training, you have to declare your goal, your mission, your purpose, that wild and fantastic dream you have. And I said, I'm going to replace my clinical income with coaching income within the year. And that's a relatively lofty goal by my understanding of coaching standards. And I didn't realize how pressing it would become, because when we started to get the invitation to open back up clinic, I thought, I'm not going back. I'm not doing that, because what coaching showed me was I was supposed to tell people how amazing they already are and show them that they had all the answers to be well. And I thought, this is it, right? This is how medicine has always felt to me. I just was calling it something else. And so I decided I was no longer going back to that clinical space. And what I realized was I wasn't leading medicine, right? I was just arriving in the way that it had always made sense to me. So I went back to this website that I'd built 2 years before, and I had a website and a blog and a podcast and programs. But what I realized, being now in an entrepreneurial space, is they weren't programs, they were suggestions. And there was no way for anyone to actually participate in them. They were beautiful, there were nice pictures and there were words, but they weren't specific, right? I had 4 target audiences. There was no price, there was no start date, and there was no registration button. So how would anyone actually contribute and participate in what I had to offer? And so I took pages down. If you ever built a website, it's kind of like putting some of your children, right, in the back room, but you can just hide the pages. You don't have to get rid of them entirely. But I hid them and just put up one program with CME, which was also a goal that I'd had for many years and didn't think was possible, but I figured it out, right? And figuring it out has been a key part of entrepreneurship. So I put up one program and it was specific. It had structure, which in osteopathic medicine is a tenet that builds function. It had a target audience, it had a price, it had a start date, and it had a button that took me a really long time to link to my PayPal account, but it finally actually worked. And guess what? People signed up, right? And it took a while. It always takes a long time to get that one, but then when one signs up, more do. And so starting September 1st, I started a 12-week course. I had a 5-figure launch, and tonight is my final teaching session with them in just a few hours. And it's been amazing. It's everything I ever dreamed of. I get to tell them my own story, right? I get to show them how amazing they are, and we work and build together. And so in the meantime, as I kept examining that website, I knew I had the building blocks, but I kept it small, right? We've heard that already. Don't keep yourself a secret. And so I thought, well, my website and blog are fine, but there are a lot of people with bigger platforms. And so I started writing for Kevin MD, and I got on there 10 times. And then I got invited to his podcast twice. And then I was a guest on other podcasts. And I thought, okay, right, if you start opening up your circle, things can really work. And since that time, I've also been invited to be the chair of coaching for Amway Ignite. And we're running coaching programs for medical students all across the country to help support women as they come through education and training in medicine. I've started a group of physicians trained as coaches called Coaching for Institutions, and we're bringing health to medicine by bringing coaching to medical schools, residencies, hospitals, healthcare systems, and medical associations. I've been named as a consultant for a national company who identifies physician distress so that we can use coaching as an intervention. And most importantly, I've realized that when I have an idea, I can put an action plan to it and make it happen. And so for me, the greatest gift of this time is to realize that I was never meant to be one thing, and I never will. I'm going to put a link in the chat when I'm done to a song named that, Never One Thing by May Earlywine. She's a musician here in Traverse City, where I live right now, and I have narrowed it down to just one state for a little while, just one state for now. But it's a beautiful song, and I will be interested to hear how it inspires you. But my 3 takeaways, because you knew there wasn't just going to be one, right, from what I've learned most in entrepreneurship is first, there is a space for you to be your whole self, all the parts, all the gifts and talents and interests, and entrepreneurship makes that possible. So don't hesitate. If you think part of you should stay hidden, maybe you're in the wrong space, right? Find that place that welcomes all of you. Number 2 is to trust your inner guide, right? You totally have everything you need to be successful. Let it out. Ask questions. If things don't feel right, trust that and see what adjustments need to be made. And number 3, and this is the most important, is the power of the collective. And you're seeing that here. Get into circles of people who see you, support you, challenge you, inspire you, live and lead by example. And so consider 9 months, right? So this is my gestational interval. And I'm about to launch my 2nd course. December 1st, we'll go again for 12 weeks. Maybe some of those same people will roll in and others will join in, and I know what it does now. And so I will speak about it differently during my launch. And if you ever launched, it's a fantastic time. And I want you to think about what 9 months could look like for you if you bring all parts of yourself, right? If you let all those pieces out. Now, I'm a musician. I play the cello. It's not primary in what I'm doing, but I bring that to my Facebook Lives and I talk to other people about music. So all of those things you might not think are relevant really can be. And then what if you're listening more clearly to that inner voice? And if it's telling you, this doesn't seem quite right, if you're willing to listen, what would that look like? And then just imagine if you were standing in circles of people who saw and heard you, who asked you meaningful questions, who challenged you, and who inspired you every day. What might 9 months from now look like for you? And so I want to thank you, Dr. Una, for making this possible, for showing me how amazing I already am, and that I can continue to do that for others. And I hope we all realize that we were never meant to be just one thing.